Ah, man, you know, AB, alligator bait, aggravated babies, ain't beating them. Adrien Broner, or should I say the problem, the can man. He wants to fight none other than Ryan Garcia in lieu of Ryan versus Devin, not happening. Ryan Garcia versus Rolly looks like it had problems. Broner steps up to the challenge. Adrien Broner's longtime trainer, Kevin Cunningham, says when two marquee names that are universally recognized by the world over come together, Adrien Broner, Ryan Garcia, it's not a fight. It's a major event. Hashtag drawing power. And the post was Garcia versus Broner is a graphic that was put out, and he reposted it. And he's calling for Broner versus Ryan Garcia. Ego thoughts? I mean, I would love the fight. I don't know exactly what's going on with Ryan Garcia. You have Ryan Garcia, and this is why you guys got to subscribe to the channel for the best in the business, and it's not even close. Ryan Garcia, recently, he's had so many fights that have all fell apart for various reasons. After Ryan Garcia fought Oscar Duarte and won by knockout, he called out Rolly. But then he went to his social media and said, he put out a poll. It said, who should I fight? Should Ryan Garcia fight Devin Haney or Rolly next? And then the public voted. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you do not miss a thing. After Ryan put up this poll, it literally, the fans voted, I guess, Devin Haney, who's the champion with the WBC at 140 pounds, as they felt that was the biggest fight, at least the people who were watching and voting, right? So they picked Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. Ryan seemingly switched gears and said, hey, I'll fight Devin Haney. Let me jump in negotiations. So there was this big public ordeal. I made videos about it. Others talked about it, made videos and posts about it, thinking the fight was going to happen. And then what happened? Ryan Garcia wakes up one day and says, oh, you guys thought I was fighting Devin Haney? Nah, that ain't happening. I've decided to go in a different direction. I'm fighting Rolly. I'm pursuing Rolly. That's what he said. Basically said, I'm going to jump in negotiation with Rolly. So to the dismay of some fans who were expecting Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, which is a good fight, they're like, man. Now me on my channel, I keep it all the way the same, 10 toes down. I had no problem with Ryan pursuing Rolly because I never really thought the Devin Haney fight would be next. He told you after in the post-fight press conference, he literally told you, my next fight, I want to fight Rolly. He didn't even call out Devin. He literally said in his DAZN interview after he knocked out Duarte, literally Ryan Garcia had said that he hopes to fight Rolly next, and he's still working with Derek James, getting their science down, getting their chemistry down, and he plans on, in the future, fighting Devin Haney. So even though he put up this poll, even though Oscar and Devin Haney and Bill Haney and Ryan were publicly talking about fighting and being in negotiations, I never really believed it. So when he said he was going to go switch gears and fight against Rolly or negotiate with Rolly at the very least, I didn't get my feelings hurt because I never really expected that the Devin Haney fight would truly be next. But then he came out and Oscar came out and Oscar's like, these guys are pricing themselves out. This seems to be standard issue in the world of boxing. When the fight doesn't happen, you just immediately go to someone's social media and there's a blame game. No more, no less. It's just a blame game. And it's getting really old in the world of boxing because boxing fans do not care. They don't care. They don't want to hear these sob stories about whose fault it was and things like that. The reality is you're either making the match or you are not. No more, no less. So I don't really think fans, there's too much free. I keep saying the same thing, but I feel this way and I feel it deeply. There's too much free entertainment for fans to be bamboozled, led astray, scammed with potential fake fights. And I do blame the fighters because I don't see this with PBC fighters in the same way. Like, what am I talking about? I don't see PBC fighters frequently getting on social media and calling out 10 fighters and then none of the fights happening. But outside of PBC, you do see that. You see a ton of fights and negotiations, but the negotiations are happening on X, on Twitter, on Instagram, on an IG Live. That's not making the fight. So 2024, we got to do better, people. Because to me, this is what makes boxing almost look pathetic compared to other sports. Other sports, I get it. Maybe it's easier. UFC, they got everyone under the same umbrella and there's one belt, the UFC championship belt. I get that. I can understand how that would be easier to police. But this is what makes boxing look like almost like gimmicky or not to be taken serious, because you're seeing, especially in 2024, more fights that are taking place on Twitter than are taking place in the boardrooms and the conference rooms and Zoom calls or whatever. And these are ways to actually get the fights into fruition, to cause the fights to manifest. So I do like Garcia Broner. I think it's a good fight. But again, I can't get my hopes up. You are seeing this emergence of fighters, and there's a bunch of fantasy fight flyers. I want to see some real fighters. Shout out to my dude, Dose of Genius. He made the Garcia Broner fight flyer. And I'm not mad at the graphic editors and designers who are coming up with these fantasy fights. It's not them. It's us. It's boxing for falling for it. Because again, as cool as the flyer looks, show me it when the fight is really made. Like, make Garcia Broner and then fight and show me a real fight flyer from the promotion. But we're seeing less and less of that and more of these like potential fantasy fight flyers. And then the business is not done. The fighters aren't agreeing. There's fallouts and tiffs and riffs and different things like that. And it just becomes boring. Especially imagine being a casual fan. Like, you got to really love boxing to endure the tragedies we've had in boxing, people losing their life, permanently disabled, to endure controversies, bad decisions, premature stoppages, you know, all the BS that comes, fall aparts, and all these things that come with the sport of boxing. You really got to love this stuff, because if you're not really passionate, I can see how things would get old fast. And me as a boxing head, and you never hear me say, oh, I'm gonna stop watching boxing and I hate boxing, because that's not me. I know it'll always, once the storm clears, all the clickbait and everything will get better. But I will say it is, even for a longtime boxing head, it is bothersome to just see all these fantasy fight flyers. And 2024, we seem to be in the drought. We seem to be in a dry spell where at the end of the day, we're waiting for these fights to happen, but the fights aren't happening. So my hope is for 2024 that we get back to the point where we see more real flyers as opposed to graphic editors making fantasy flyers and then it never comes true. Because I keep seeing the fighters, they're posting these, like a ton of fighters are posting these at the moment fantasy flyers. That's what I'm calling them, because the business hasn't been done to make the fight. So Garcia Broner, I know this has been an ego rant, but I'm just giving you my truest thought. I like the fight Garcia Broner. I think it would be a big fight. I agree with Kevin Cunningham, and it will be a big event. But it's hard to get invested into these sports when at the end of the day, you're not seeing it amount to anything. Like, it's like watching the movie and you want a payoff at the end of the movie. Like, I just sat through this movie for 2 hours and 11 minutes. You want the payoff. You want to see a conclusion. You don't want to be left and then the movie just ends. Like, have you ever watched one of those movies where you're expecting more, or it never really got good, really got going, and then the movie just kind of abruptly ends and you're like, what was that? Like, is this the ending? And then you see the credits roll and you're like, that's the movie? That's how it ends? Trash. And that's how I feel. That same sensation, that cinematic sensation, that's how I feel about boxing. When I see these flyers and the fighters arguing on Twitter and fans joining in, and then it amounts to absolutely nothing. Subscribe to the channel. Best in the business. Let me know what you guys think of Garcia Broner and my ego rant in this video. Drop those thoughts and subscribe to the channel for For more boxing news, this is your one-stop shop, Boxing Ego. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation.